She sat outside the hospital room, picking at her nails as she waited for her family to finish up in the room behind her. She could hear the muffled sobs of her mother with an occasional sharp inhale and the rhythmic beats of the heart monitor. After 10 minutes of waiting, she had begun using the latter as a backbeat, creating music to pass the time, but it had gotten old only minutes later. Instead, she decided to wait more respectfully, reflecting on how her pastime could seem morbid or distasteful. Her grandmother was the one hooked up to the machine, and had been for a month. There was a point before that when she was freed from it under the pretenses that she was healthy, but that was quickly proven wrong after an accident in her home. Going back to the hospital, she was worse than she had been before, and only getting worse and worse. At this point, her body couldn't sustain itself anymore, and there was no chance of that changing. The call was given that she only had so long to live, gathering the family together to say their last goodbyes. She couldn't do it, though. During her grandmother's back and forth at the hospital, she had had no contact with her, not to mention the silence that grew between them before all of that as the Alzheimer's set in. It wasn't like the two of them were undeniably close before all the misfortune, but the relationship certainly didn't benefit from all the strife, and that was her reasoning for not joining her family in the other room. Her feeling of insignificance in her grandmother's life made her pause before turning the doorknob and walking into the room, and the assumption that the Alzheimer's took away any of her significance left weighed her down in one of the chairs outside the room. She had to go across town to get to the hospital, which would have been much longer if the usual traffic had been a factor, so she would just tell them what they expected. There were a few times where she got out of her chair with the intention of ignoring her assumptions to give her grandmother a proper goodbye, but her mind wouldn't be silenced so easily, and she'd be back in the chair again, chipping away at her already sore fingernails. After 20 minutes of silent debating and painful nervous habits, she could hear her mother's heart-aching sobs get frighteningly softer, and the muffled voices getting even softer than that. Her heartbeat seemed to thump against her chest, with enough force to throw her out of her chair. The heart monitor's beeping slowed, and continued to slow, until the flatline could be heard, creating a metaphor for how she felt, regretting her decision to keep quiet until the end. Even still, she got up from her chair, heading back down to the lobby as her mother's cries were louder than ever before.